Hi and welcome to this week's energy forecast. I'm Rachel Thompson-Phillips, the creator of the BU Oracle cards and also of the Sacred Oracle online program. This week's energy forecast is for May the 9th through till May the 15th, with the overall theme being Rise Above Temptation. So let's go in and explore the messages through the cards. Monday and Tuesday is the card of love. Wednesday through till Friday is the card of limitations, and the weekend's message is frustrations. Now, because I saw all of these cards, I was like, well, I'm going to need to take another card to be able to work out how is it that we navigate through this week. And I love how the Oracle cards always give us answers, and the answer was Rise Above. So with Monday and Tuesday being the card of love, let me just rewind. This week we have a huge energy week. Tuesday is Mercury goes retrograde, so we've already been in the shadow phase. Then on the following Monday is a full moon. So this week is going to collaborate with so much intense energy. So that's why these cards are showing up, to give us an indication of this is the potential energy, but this is how you navigate through it. And those are the types of things that I love, how Oracle cards provide us with every bit of insight to be able to help support us through our journey in life. So as I was saying, Monday and Tuesday is the card of love. Now that's an indication on what type of self-care, self-love activities are you being putting off for yourself. As women, we are more prone to nurture and care and love and support others and put ourselves on the back burner. This week is saying, no, break the temptation to fall into those old patterns. That's what this whole week's theme is about, to rise above the temptation to go back to the old, to settle for the old, to treat yourself in the old ways. So rise above that. So you may find yourself Monday and Tuesday going, oh my goodness, I really want to soak in the bath. But then you put it off because you let yourself move down through the priority list. This is the time to put yourself at the priority list. So think about all of the ways in which to be able to support and nurture yourself on a mind, body, spiritual, and soul level. Now that looks like something so very different for every single person. And the question I always love to ask in that very given moment is, what do I need right now? And you can ask yourself that 2 or 3 times throughout the day, because as you go through the day, depending on what is occurring for you, you'll have different wants and needs. And that's why it's important. The moment that you ask the question, your soul and yourself will therefore go and find the very thing that you need. But yourself is the human part. This is where you need to be able to make the decision, because as humans, we have free will. So you have the decision to give yourself the very thing to be able to support yourself so that you can move through these intense energies with as least resistance as possible, to be able to keep yourself in that aligned flow state. So give yourself the very thing that you need. Support yourself, nurture yourself. Make sure that you create an environment where you know that you are making yourself a priority. Why? Because when you do, the message that you're sending yourself is that I matter, I am worthy, I am deserving, and I am enough. So every time you do a self-care activity, that is the line of communication and energy frequency that you are stepping into. So notice how one little activity can have a huge, profound effect on your mental and emotional state. So that's Monday and Tuesday is self-care activities. Wednesday through till Friday is the limitations. As you know, as we move towards a full moon, we usually have a great deal of our past come to revisit. Opens up that Pandora's box where we have put things away. Your soul is not going to allow you to push it down and bury it anymore. I just want to make that really clear. I always get a little bit of the giggles because I always say that your soul will either hold your hand and move you through transitional periods, or it's going to skull drag you and grab you and drag you through that. So you're going to have to go through it whether you like it or not. It's all done for your greatest optimum self. Please remember that. So choose the option. Again, make the decision whether you want to have your hand held and be supported as you move through these times where releasing, surrendering, letting go, and just choosing that, you know what, I'm done with this shit. And allow your hand to be held as you move through that transitional, transformative process. Or choose the hard road. If you're listening to this, I am 100% sure that you want your hand held. So every time you feel that there is any form of limitation that shows up in your world, take a moment to just stop and ask yourself, what do you want right now? So therefore, the decision that you make is from a conscious state, not from an old paradigm, not from an old programming or an automatic response to a subconscious belief that you've had. This is the time now you have gained so much wealth of wisdom along your journey that you understand that the most powerful decisions that you make are done in the consciousness, in the now. So every time you ask yourself, what is it that I need right now before making a decision, you get to make it in the conscious state. That is where the power is for you. So rise above the temptation to fall back into the old patterns. Then come the weekend, as we lead towards the full moon, is the frustration. Now, frustration is, usually always find language is a really important element to tune into this week. Our language will determine what's going on in our internal world. Now, as you can see from the weekend with the frustration, it means that you're staying on the superficial level. The types of language that presents itself in that is things like, I'm angry, I'm pissed off, you know, this person's shitting me off, that type of language. It's all sitting on the surface. But it's really important to be able to identify what it is about that current situation that is actually causing the biggest frustration for you. Because up here is the superficial. When you go to surrender and release on the full moon, you're only going to surrender from here. You want to go straight down to that core, bypass all the superficial stuff and get straight to the core of it so that you can be really logical, rational, and be able to go, you know what, this is the actual true identity of my frustration, and this is what I choose to surrender upon the full moon. Therefore, you release all of the layers of superficial layers and get straight to the core. And therefore, when you are letting everything go, you're moving it from the core of your identity. There is where the power exists, is being able to get to the crux of the problem. When you find that you can do that, it's where it becomes so incredibly potent, because you actually can articulate that this particular thing, this is what my frustration is. And you can usually find that it can be so very different. Like if you just say, I'm angry about that, that's only acknowledging your emotional state. It's not actually honoring and acknowledging what it is actually that's creating the frustration. And remember, everything is mirrored back to us. So even if something someone is doing is causing frustration, look at how is that being presented to you as a gift of what is going on within your own self. Because remember, everything is a mirror to a degree. So things that are causing frustrations can sometimes be flipped around as an example. And what I mean by that, say for example, your partner's really frustrating you because they're not helping you out. You're going to think that it's just because, you know, they're not helping you out around the house and you feel like you're doing everything. The actual real problem of the cause of it is feeling unworthy. So notice how you can start at one level, but when you get to the core of it, it actually can describe something so very different. And I think that's where it becomes that level of vulnerability, because we usually all want to dance around the superficial. We all want to social media definitely hasn't helped. We have a look on social media and we see all these people living these beautiful lives, that we therefore try to portray that everything in our life is beautiful. And 9 times out of 10 it is, but there are certain moments where there is a level of vulnerability where something is completely out of sync. Something in your world is you have completely outgrown. And so therefore it is presented to you as an opportunity to be able to create such incredibly potent shifts in your world. So this is where it comes in of being able to identify what is my soul trying to reveal to me in order for me to be able to grow and expand. And yes, there may be a level of vulnerability, and that is okay, because it means that I'm getting closer to my own truth, and I am able to be able to connect so deeply with my heart and be able to communicate exactly what it is that's creating the biggest frustration. So therefore, once you can identify what the problem is, you can immediately start looking at what needs to shift and move into solution focus. So this is such an incredibly huge time, because Mercury retrograde brings us into revision, to revisit things, to review things, to reassess, to reawaken, to rebirth. This is a powerful, powerful time, but sometimes it can feel a little bit difficult and daunting, but it is sometimes the exact thing that we need to be able to catapult us and put us in the position of where we need to be. So again, rise above the temptation to fall back into the old patterns, Know that your soul and spirit and source have got your back every single step of the way, and that you here as a human, you have free choice. You get to decide in how you want to be able to navigate through this time. Having your hand and feeling supported and nourished, and aligning with that and treating yourself with the level of respect that you deserve, because remember, you set the tone of how everyone else treats you. So it all begins with you. And remembering that you are so incredibly powerful. Making shifts and letting things go no longer needs to be difficult. Sometimes we can simply just make that decision and go like, seriously, I'm so freaking done with this. And that's cool. And then other times it's going to require just a little bit of delving into being able to explore where is the core. So you're going to have all these variable levels to be able to work on this week. And just because some things can be shifted really quickly doesn't mean that they are less powerful. It just means that you've moved through the layers, that you've been able to get to the bottom, be able to make that decision. And now this is your finale, that you're like, peace out. Done, dusted, and ready to move on. So I wish you all an incredibly amazing week ahead. Much love. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.